The first time I thought I was going to die on the job, I wasn't in a gunfight. I wasn't chasing anyone. I wasn't even moving. I was sitting in a parked car at the edge of a dark lot, hands on the wheel, staring at the red glow of a cigarette in the distance. One tiny dot in the night, floating near a pickup truck. Every few seconds it brightened, then faded again, like a warning light. My phone buzzed once. One short vibration. No sound. That was the signal. I looked at the rearview mirror and saw my own face split into two people. The man the Bureau trained. And the man this group believed I was. Both of them were me now, and neither one felt safe. I opened the glove box and checked the items the way you check a life jacket before stepping into deep water. A cheap lighter. A folded pack of cigarettes I didn't smoke. A pocket knife I'd never use. A worn wallet with a driver's license that wasn't mine. A few crumpled bills. Nothing that said FBI. Nothing that said wire. Nothing that said help. Outside, the night was quiet in the way quiet can feel sharp. No traffic. No music. No dogs. Just the faint sound of a flag snapping somewhere, and the soft gravel crunch as someone shifted their weight near that pickup. The instructions were simple: get out, walk over, don't hesitate. Let them see you're not nervous. Let them see you belong. The problem was, I didn't belong anywhere that night. I took a breath, opened the door, and stepped out. Cold air slid under my collar. I shut the door softly, like I was trying not to wake the darkness. My boots found the gravel, and I started walking. Halfway there, a voice came out of the dark like a hand grabbing my throat. Stop right there. I stopped. I didn't turn too fast. I kept my hands where they could see them. Another man stepped into the thin light from the truck's tail lamp. Big shoulders. Hooded sweatshirt. A baseball cap pulled low. I could see the shape of a pistol at his waist. He didn't reach for it, but he didn't need to. The way he looked at me was enough. You late, he said. Had to circle, I answered. Didn't want anyone following. He stared. He didn't blink much. His eyes moved over my face, down to my hands, then back to my eyes. What's your name? I gave the name. Not mine. The name on the fake license. The name I'd practiced saying until it sounded natural. He waited a beat too long. You sure? I didn't squirm. I gave a small smile. Sure, I said. You forget yours sometimes too? He didn't smile back. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell smoke and motor oil on him. Empty your pockets, he said. That wasn't part of the plan. I knew what was in my pockets. The approved items. The harmless items. Still, the moment he said it, my mouth went dry. Because it wasn't about the pockets. It was about control. I slowly pulled out the wallet, the lighter, the cigarettes. He took them one at a time and checked each like he expected them to explode. He opened the wallet. He looked at the license. He looked at my face. He looked at the license again. Then he leaned in and said, very softly, "Where'd you say you grew up?" I had the details. I had the story. I had the city. I had the street. I had the high school. I had a fake memory for every answer. Tight moments are when people slip. I answered anyway, calm and simple. He nodded toward the pickup. Get in, he said. As I walked to the truck, I realized this wasn't a casual meet-up. This was the first step into a place that didn't have exits. 2 weeks earlier, I was still a regular agent with a desk, a badge, and cases that didn't follow me into my sleep. The call came from a supervisor I barely knew. He told me to come to a conference room and bring nothing with me. The blinds were shut. The lights were low. There were 3 people inside. 2 men I didn't know and a woman from counter-terror work. She had a calm that comes from seeing too much. They slid a photo across the table. A group of men at night. Some faces blurred. Some not. In the center, a white hood hung from someone's arm like a casual jacket. This group is growing, the woman said. They're not just talking. They're planning. And they're tightening up, one man added. Harder to get into than before. What do you need from me? I asked. We need someone who can pass, the woman said. Not your values. Your look. Your voice. Your background. You don't stand out. They handed me a file. It wasn't my personnel record. It was a life they built for me. A name. An address. A job history. A reason to be angry. A reason to want a place to belong. What's the goal? I asked. Evidence, she said. Names. Plans. Money. Weapons. Anything that holds up. And the risk? If they suspect you, one man said, you don't get arrested. You vanish. I stared at the photo again and felt something bitter rise in me. I'll do it, I said. They trained me in quiet ways. Not movie training. No big speeches. Just details. How to answer questions without giving too much. How to complain without sounding fake. How to sit in a room and let hateful talk wash over you without reacting. The hardest part wasn't the new name. It was learning to stay silent when my instincts wanted to speak. They gave me a cheap flip phone. This is your lifeline, the woman said. Not your friend. She gave me an emergency word and tight check-in windows. Then one more rule, if you get in trouble, you survive. You say what you need to say to survive. The first contact was a man called Ray. He met me in a diner off a highway. He was polite, almost too polite, like manners learned for cover. He listened like a priest while I played my part. You got family? He asked. Not much, according to the file. That's good, he said. Means you're free. A week later the message came, a location, a time, and a warning. Be alone. No mistakes. That's how I ended up in that dark lot, now climbing into a pickup truck. The man with the pistol got into the back seat. Ray was waiting in front. Ray didn't waste time. You understand why we do things careful? He asked. Yeah, I said. People get nosy. Nosy is one word, Ray said. The man in back added, cops. Ray looked at me. What would you do if you found out someone in your circle was police? I didn't answer too fast. I'd make sure he can't talk, I said. Ray nodded. Good. He pulled out a cloth bag and tossed it onto my lap. I opened it. Inside was a folded white cloth. A hood. You put that on, Ray said, and you become part of something bigger than you. He told me the rules. Keep quiet. Stay loyal. Don't get sloppy. Then the truck started moving. We drove through dark roads into trees, then onto a dirt path where trucks were parked in a rough circle around an old shed. Men stood smoking, talking low. Inside, the air was warm and heavy with sweat and smoke. Flags hung on the walls. Jars of donation money sat on a table. Men stared as we entered. Their eyes weren't curious. They were measuring. An older leader stepped forward. We don't have time for weak men, he said. Tonight, we find out who's serious. One by one, he made men swear loyalty. Then he called me forward. He asked who brought me, why I was here, what I hated most, and what I'd do if pushed. Then he pointed at the hood. Put it on. I pulled it over my head. The room narrowed to 2 eye holes. A knot tightened behind my head. Welcome, the leader said. That night I listened and watched. I filed faces away in my head. I watched money change hands. I listened for names. I listened for plans. I heard talk about patrols, about watching, about teaching lessons. When we left, Ray leaned close and said, "You did fine. Now it gets real." The next month tightened around my life. Meetings on dirt roads. Small rooms. Late nights. They wanted me visible and counted. Then Ray asked for more. "Bring someone," he said. "Someone you trust." They weren't only checking loyalty. They were checking reach. I told my handler, Ellis, in short check-ins. No names on calls. Only codes. "Any talk of weapons?" Ellis asked. Some, I said. Any talk of targets? Nothing specific, I said, because in their minds everything outside was a target. Ray kept pulling me closer with small rewards. Approval. Access. The feeling of being chosen. One night, after a meeting, Ray handed me a cigarette like we were friends and said, "You got guts." He asked if I'd been in fights. If I'd hurt someone bad. "You might have to," he said. That was the first time I felt the job start to crawl into my skin. Not because I was tempted. Because I could see where this road led, and the only way to stay on it was to keep walking. A week later, the test came wrapped as a simple invitation. "Come by tomorrow. Just you." Ellis told me to go, and reminded me of the emergency word. Ray's house sat outside town with drawn curtains even in daylight. Inside were Ray, the pistol guy, and another man I didn't know. They didn't explain right away. They let silence press. "We got a situation," Ray said. Then they mentioned an unknown phone number calling one of their guys. They said my name came up in a conversation that wasn't supposed to happen. Ray stared at me. "You talk to anyone?" "No." "Ever?" "No." Then Ray led me to a shed behind the house. Inside was a metal chair, rope, tape, and a man tied up with bruises on his face. "This is where we find out who you are," Ray said. "You want to be with us? You show us." He told me to tape him. Tie him. Handle him. My mind ran through options fast. Refuse and I might not walk out. Do what they wanted and I would carry it forever. I picked up the tape. Then I leaned close to the bound man and whispered, "Do exactly what I say, or you die." His eyes widened, but he nodded. I slapped tape onto his chest, not his mouth, loud enough to look rough. I wrapped rope messy around chair legs so it looked violent without tightening his body. I made it look like I didn't care. Ray wanted more. "Make sure he can't talk," he said. The pistol guy suggested driving the man to the woods. I forced a hard voice and said, "Not here. Too close. If you do it here, you make noise. Be smart." Ray stared, then nodded. "Smart." They taped the man's mouth and dragged him out. They tossed him into a truck bed under a tarp. Ray looked at me. "You're riding with us," he said. We drove into darker roads and stopped near a clearing. The man under the tarp shook. Ray ordered him onto his knees. Ray looked at me. "You do it. You're new. You show you're real." The pistol guy handed me a gun. The bound man shook his head, tears running. Ray's voice stayed calm. "Do it." I stepped closer like I was going to end it. Then I fired into the ground beside his knee. Dirt jumped. The man screamed behind the tape. Ray laughed. "There you go." He told me to make the man talk. I ripped the tape off and demanded answers like I was angry. The man begged, said he wasn't a cop, said he'd only heard scraps, a church, and a night. Ray decided the man was useless. The pistol guy raised his weapon. I stopped it with one last push. If he's not a cop, killing him makes noise. If he is, killing him brings heat. Let him walk, but scare him. Make him remember. Ray stared, then nodded. "Fine. But if he talks, we find him." They cut him loose and left him in the dirt. Later, at the first allowed window, I called Ellis. "They tested me," I said. "They're planning something bigger." I told Ellis about the church talk and the date hints. Ellis said they were moving resources. "Stay steady," he told me. Ray treated me differently after that. More serious. More access. He brought me to smaller meetings and let me hear more names. One evening, Ray showed me a table in an old barn. Cash. Supply lists. A map with circles around locations. One circle was a community center. Another was a church. Another was a small government building. He tapped a date. 2 weeks, he said. That's when we show people we're still here. I reported it. The Bureau wanted a clean link to Ray. "We need him on record," Ellis said. "We need him tied to the plan." 2 nights later, Ray brought me to a garage behind a closed gas station. He handed me a recorder and said they found it in one of their guys' trucks. He talked about rats, about men who disappear, and asked, "Who's your handler?" I laughed like he insulted me. "I don't have a handler. I got bills." Ray tossed the recorder away like it meant nothing, but I knew it meant everything. Then he brought out printed flyers and slid them toward me. "These go out tomorrow," he said. "You'll take some." Taking them was dangerous, but it was evidence. I nodded and took them. That night I dropped 2 flyers at a bureau dead drop and kept the rest to avoid raising suspicion. Ellis confirmed they got them. "Good work," he said. "Don't celebrate," I warned. "He's watching me." 2 days before the planned night, Ray called me for early setup at the shed. The lot was fuller than ever. Boxes were stacked inside. Men talked fast and low about meeting at the church lot. I overheard a man say, "We got a rat. I can feel it." Ray's eyes flicked to me for half a second. That night Ellis met me briefly in a crowded parking structure. No drama. Just a quick pass. "You've got 2 days," Ellis said. "We're ready to move, but we need you out safely." I told him Ray might not wait. Ellis said if it felt wrong, I should use the emergency word. I told him if I was alone with them, words wouldn't save me. "Then don't be alone with them," Ellis said. 2 days later, the planned night came. Ray told me to meet at the church lot. When I arrived, it was empty. That felt wrong, but I waited. Headlights appeared. Trucks turned in one by one. Men got out. Hoods and gloves went on. Ray tapped my window and told me to get into a van. "We're riding together," he said. Inside the van, it smelled like rubber and sweat. The seats were stripped. A tarp covered the floor. Ray sat across from me. The pistol guy sat by the door. The older leader sat near the front. "No talking once we move," the leader said. The van started rolling. My cover phone buzzed once in my pocket. That wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't look down. Ray watched my face. "You nervous?" "No," I said. "You should be," he replied. The van stopped. The door opened a crack, and cold air rushed in. I heard voices outside that weren't theirs. Too many voices. Then I heard the command tone. "Police! Don't move!" Floodlights snapped on. The night turned harsh white. "Hands up!" Inside the van, everything exploded. Ray lunged. The pistol guy reached for his weapon. The older leader moved like he'd practiced. Someone grabbed me and slammed me down. "You set us up," a voice hissed. My head hit the tarp. My ears rang. Outside, boots ran and radios cracked. Someone yelled, "Gun!" A stun grenade popped. Light flashed. Men screamed. I saw Ray with his hood half off, staring straight at me. He didn't look confused. He looked betrayed. He moved toward me like he'd chosen to kill me before he ran. I reached into my boot and hit the emergency button on the hidden phone. That was all I could do. Then a tactical agent appeared in the doorway. "FBI! Drop it!" The pistol guy tried to raise his weapon. A clean shot dropped him. More agents flooded in. Ray fought like a trapped animal, screaming and spitting. Ellis climbed in and told me to stay down. Ray laughed even while pinned. "I knew it," he said. Outside, men in hoods were on the ground, zip-tied, flashlights scanning, dogs barking, radios calling out names and counts. The older leader was pinned too. His hood was off. He stared at me with disgust. As dawn came, it ended the way real operations end. Not with cheers. With evidence bags, tired faces, and controlled voices. Ellis walked me to an unmarked SUV. The heater was on. The warmth stung my bruised face. "You did your job," Ellis said. I stared at my hands. "I almost killed someone," I said quietly. Ellis nodded. "That's what this work does." "Did we stop it?" I asked. "We stopped tonight," he said. "We got weapons, leaders, evidence. We stopped what they were planning." Tonight, I repeated. Ellis looked at me. You know it doesn't end. The bureau moved me out, checked injuries, and ran debriefs under bright lights. I gave names, maps, and details. The arrests held. Charges were filed. My identity stayed sealed. Later Ellis told me Ray asked about me. Ray wanted me to hear his message, that I didn't leave this behind, that it would follow me. Months later, I was back at a desk. On paper, normal life. Inside, I still reacted to small things. A knock. A car idling too long. A stranger watching too hard. One evening I sat in my car outside my apartment. The street was calm. Kids rode bikes. A couple walked a dog. My phone buzzed. A message from Ellis, "You okay today?" I stared at it, then typed back, "Yeah. Still here." I started the engine and drove, reminding myself why I did it. So someone else could go home and never know how close the danger came. And even if the work leaves marks, you keep going. Because if you stop, the darkness moves in without anyone standing in its way.